Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies, Arrowhead Allies.
Gentlemen, good things happen when you get to sit back with a bye in the first round and watch the Super Wildcard playoffs unfold. Actually, while we're at it, I'm ready to scrap that term, Super Wildcard round. I don't like it. I'm ready to get out of that. But Brian be shining. Michael Matthew, Shaggy Shane Williams, Noah Groniger, we're all here. And I'll tell you what, Brian, you said it. You were like, hey, when it comes down to it, you're going to be in front of it. You're going to be taking in all the action. And you were right. There was the entertainment value for Super Wildcard weekend was at about a 7.5, maybe even an 8 this weekend. And the Chiefs, we just got to sit back and watch it. And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, buddy. How about those Giants walking into Minnesota and getting a dub? That was one of my favorite moments of the weekend, man. Golly, the Jaguars game, we got a lot to dive into, fellas.
Yes, we do.
I'll just say after watching the AFC, I mean, that's who we were watching. I mean, props to that the Vikings game. That was a good game, and the Giants game. I don't know what happened to the Vikings defense, but we'll break that down.
It wasn't there. Shaggy, it's never been there the whole season.
They got rid of Bashaud Breeland, and it was just off a cliff.
But
Bashaud Breeland.
Specifically watching the AFC playoffs, folks, I am even happier to have that bye. People talk about, man, if you have a bye, do you worry about getting rusty? No, you enjoy that bye because all three of those AFC championship games were nail biters. All three of those AFC championship games could have gone either way. And all three of those AFC championship games made me say, thank God your Kansas City Chiefs have a bye. What do you think, Michael?
No, yeah, I just think that, I'm happy that the Chiefs were able to kick back. I thought they would get a little healthier than they did, but, McCole Hardman, we're going to talk about everything. But, man, just some really close, intriguing games. The LA team disappointed all of LA. They are the Clippers of the NFL. I'm telling you guys that right now. But it was great. I went 4-2. The Buccaneers disappointed me yesterday. And the Vikings, I can't believe Kirk Cousins did it again, but I should never trust Kirk Cousins. So, but other than that, man, I'm happy. I'm ready. I'm ready for these Chiefs, baby.
It wasn't a noon game, Michael. It wasn't noon.
True. That's right.
Well, I like how we're starting this off making fun of the Chargers, so I just got to go to this real quick. I just got to do it.
Watch out for Justin Herbert next year. I'll see it when I believe it. Yeah.
Here, I mean, 27-0, and then 27-7 at halftime. And then we have a fan talking about last year we didn't even make the playoffs. This year we did. Next year, the Super Bowl. Okay, have fun with that, guys.
Hey, not to be joking at all, but you know what? They really missed Mike Williams. Like, they couldn't make any plays down the field, and it just shows you that bonehead mistake by Brandon Staley to play him in the final game of the season that didn't matter, really came back to hurt them. But it wasn't just that. They gave up 31 points in 31 minutes. You're a defensive coach. You can't let that happen. And now I'm happy because we can put an end. All of this Herbert comparing to Mahomes and all this can stop right now, and we can move on knowing that he needs to get better. The Chargers need to get better. And, hey, they're going to be watching just like the rest of us this weekend.
Michael, how dare you disrespect the 2023 preseason pick for the AFC West? How dare you? It's in your own city, nonetheless. The Los Angeles Chargers, here's the deal, guys. It's not humanly possible to throw 4 interceptions in the first half of an NFL playoff game. It's not possible. It's also not possible to overcome it. And the Jaguars are able to do that. You want to talk about the energy and the emotions that you have to expend to do that, to complete that comeback. And I think, and we're going to get into a lot more of this later, but this bodes well for the Chiefs, what the Jaguars had to go through, hard-fought games. And Shane, you alluded to it earlier too. Not only that, but the Bengals and the Bills both with some physical battles there. So, Brian, does this bode well for the Chiefs? What happened with the Jaguars?
Well, they got what I like to call momentum. You know, they got a quick score right before the half. And look, you get the ball at the second half, man. That's a quick 14 points right there. Bada bing, bada boom. You're right back in it. And in these playoff games, these guys know that, you know, we win or we lose today and we're done. We're going home. And so guys are really laying it out on the line. That's why going to a playoff game is such a treat, because you really get to see athletes at their peak performance, and they're really locked and lasered in. And so when you're down 27-0, we saw this with the Chiefs in 2019 on the way to the Super Bowl run. You really just got to stay positive, and you got to really lock in, man. You really do. It's a mindset, and it's also a team. You know, everybody on the team has to be on the court with this thing. And the Jaguars did that. And Doug Peterson, man, he is a hell of a coach. Hell of a coach. Somebody's side chick is blowing him up. Look at that. Y'all better calm it down. I mean,
what's going on in LA? What's going on out there in LA, Mr. Popular?
Man, that's the Chargers. The Charger fans are like, hey man, we're coming to get you. If you don't stop talking about my Chargers, move on to Jacksonville.
Look, I just want to say I was gleamed with smiles during that last Chargers segment, because I love having the Chargers in the AFC West. I really do. They are the little step brothers. Not step. They're just the little brothers of the Chiefs, to be honest. And this is why I almost hate the Cowboys more than the Chargers, because we know what the Chargers are going to do at the end of the day. In 1994, in the Super Bowl against the Niners, they got smacked around the field the entire game. Deion Sanders was half-assing the game the entire game. Stan Humphries couldn't do anything. Nate Tromines shut down. Jerry Rice, a field day. Steve Young got the monkey off of his back. All right, we seen it with the 14. We seen it with the 14-2 Chargers. We seen it. God bless Marty Schottenheimer. We love you. But, you know, you and the Chargers together, we knew that wasn't going to end well. All right. We seen it with the 2007 Chargers when they went to New England and got smoked in the AFC Championship game. We see it every single year. And the most beautiful thing, the second most beautiful thing about the Chargers being the AFC West, number one, we get to see those beautiful uniforms all the time, and we get to play at SoFi. But they kept Brandon Staley for another year. Oh, I am gleeing with joy, because the Chargers ain't gonna be nothing again for the 2023 season, and they avoid Sean Payton.
Well, yeah, we avoid Sean Payton, at least there, and it sounds like George said McDaniels is staying with the Raiders, and so we'll see what happens with the Broncos head coaching position. But you mentioned Marty Schottenheimer, you mentioned those Niners. Mike McCarthy came out, says Marty Schottenheimer addressed the Chiefs in 93, 94, talked about how the NFL was structured back then, says you had 2 teams in Dallas and San Francisco, called them elite, said there was a group below that of 10 to 12 teams, and that's where Kansas City was. What do you make of this? Because we do have the Cowboys 49ers game in the divisional round, and so Mike McCarthy, back an assistant coach back with Marty and the Chiefs in those days, him coming out and talking about this. Shane, I'm going to go to you as our resident Chiefs historian with this.
Wow.
You know what? He's not lying. Mike McCarthy's not lying. That's just the way it was. I mean, we saw Dallas and San Francisco battle it out, from 92, 93, and 94, and 95. Let me see, 95.
Green Bay.
Yeah,
that's when Green Bay and Dallas in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, but for the most part, it was all San Francisco and Dallas. You know, you had Deion Sanders playing for both teams. You had Ken Norton Jr. play for both teams. Who was the defensive end?
Charles Haley.
Charles Haley, thank you, Brian.
5 Super Bowls,
right on cue. So we saw so many of those players playing both teams. The premier athletes, the premier free agents, the premier Hall of Famers were doing all they could to go wherever they were wanted. And the 49ers and the Cowboys have a lot of history, not only with the massive hold that they had on the NFL for the first 5 years of the 1990s, but going back to the 81 championship, the catch, as well as the playoff game in San Francisco in 1972. So there's a lot of history there. And Mike McCarthy isn't lying. You know, he was our QB coach. He saw it was unfair to Kansas City, but we were turning things around at that time. And we needed Joe Montana to play one more year.
So the AFC, Buffalo goes to 4 straight Super Bowls. I guess the AFC and obviously in that era just wasn't able to get it done. But I want to bring up something here that Michael mentioned here just a few minutes ago. So I'm going to send it to you on this one. McCole Hardman is out again. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid said that McCole Hardman is the only member of the team who did not practice Tuesday. Reid said that Hardman has begun pushing it hard, but his issue has not been responding well. The issue's not been responding well. Guys, Michael, he last played November 6th against the Tennessee Titans. What is going on here?
I have no idea. I don't think anybody have any idea other than the Chiefs. It went from one type of injury to now you see pelvic injury. Like they haven't really given us much at all on what exactly happened to him. I don't think it was an injury that occurred in the game. So I'm just kind of lost for words. We were all expecting we get this bye. We get an extra week for McCole. He's going to be ready to go. Him and Kadarius Toney is going to be a crazy duo. Then we get to Tuesday before Saturday's game, and there's no McCole Hardman. So I don't know if we're going to ever find out what's really going on, kind of like with Eric Berry. He had his injury. But, man, it's just a big blow with a guy who's going to help so much in the red zone with special teams and being that receiver that Mahomes can trust and that's won a Super Bowl with him before.
Well, they brought him off the active roster. So until he's put back on injured reserve, should we be concerned? Because if they want to bring Jody Fortson back off injured reserve, I guess they could put McCole Hardman back on injured reserve. But right now with McCole Hardman on the active roster, something's got to happen with that this week, unless they have their fingers crossed that he'll be able to play in the AFC Championship game. What do you say, Brian?
I'm just like you all. I'm in the dark as well. I was expecting McCole.
Is he pulling a Lamar Jackson?
No.
Noah, that doesn't I don't think that's far-fetched at all. But then again, you look at it from the other side, like he has a lot to gain from being in the playoffs. Although the Chiefs do have the number one offense, if he shows his ass and scores and he gets 2 jet sweeps for touchdowns against the Jaguars and a couple in the AFC Championship game, he's finna get paid. He is. More money. But with that being said, man, it's mystifying to me because I watch a lot of Chiefs videos, and I watched the Travis Kelce podcast, and that was like podcast when he did with Ryan Clark and those guys.
The pivot,
yeah. I think that was around New Year's Day. That was like January 2nd or so. During the game we played against the Broncos, or before we played the Broncos, or after, I don't know, somewhere around that time. And he was up and he was with Travis Kelce and he was walking around, and you see McCole Hardman on the sideline, you see the chain, and you see him on the sideline. He's not running or anything, but he's there though.
Yeah.
And then you'll see some of the TikTok videos and you'll see some of that, and he's there. And I'm
he was on Twitch, and somebody asked if he was going to play, and he's like, "Oh, absolutely."
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, I mean, I don't know, fellas. It's not making sense to me on any level other than him having a legit situation going on with his midsection. Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Who knows? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. Hopefully McCole and the team doctors know, and they're just not letting us know. It's day to day. I'm sure they're going to say day to day, as they did with Eric Berry.
We got Sky Moore back, guys, so we're going to be all right.
Anyway, we've got some playoff wins here that we're going to look at for these quarterbacks. Mahomes leads the group with 8, and there's just not a lot going here. I mean, Mahomes is only 27 years old, is kind of leading this group, and the veteran of the group with the experience and the wins and just look at this, guys. I mean, just Josh Allen 4, Joe Burrow 4, Dak 2, Jalen Hurts 0 because he had that bye, hasn't been in the playoffs till now. So what do we think of this? Just the matchups and that Mahomes leads this group and the experience at only 27 years old.
I think it's funny that Daniel Jones has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert.
Crazy.
Probably end their careers that way too.
No, but I think, I think every besides the Chiefs Jaguars, they got it right by putting us as the first game because we are definitely the less intriguing of all of these matchups. Bills Bengals speaks for itself. Niners Cowboys speaks for itself. That Sunday slate is a monster. I can't wait for that. But the Giants Eagles intrigue me a lot because I think the Giants, they got it going on that defensive line. Thibodeau, he is getting after it. And
Dexter Lawrence.
And Dexter Lawrence, he made a big play, as you stated, Michael, in that game against the Vikings. And you look at the Eagles. Lane Johnson is out. Jalen Hurts is banged up. It was a report this past week saying that he knows that he's going to have to play with some pain going into the divisional matchup series or divisional matchup. And so I don't know, man. Defense wins championships, and the Giants have been shown to, when it counts, they can squeeze it. They can squeeze you. Yeah. And I'm not sure if Jalen Hurts not being 100% with his shoulder is the right thing for that Eagles offense at this point. I think the Giants can go to the link, and it's another game 3.
Yeah.
It's another game 3. I'm excited for that one.
This game reminds me of the year Lamar Jackson won MVP and the Ravens were the number 1 seed. Titans came into Baltimore with a running quarterback and, a really good running back and got the dub. And, I talk about it all the time. It's so hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. That's what the Eagles are going to have to try to do. But I'm really excited about Sunday morning because I believe the Chiefs are going to take care of business against Jacksonville. But I think that Cincinnati can go into Buffalo and take care of business. To me, they would have won the game on that Monday night if it would have played out to where they would have had the home game. But with now them going to Buffalo, Joe Burrow said we went to Arrowhead and won a game that we shouldn't have won in the AFC Championship last year. Why can't we go to Buffalo where Josh Allen isn't coming in playing his best football and pick up a victory? So that game is going to be very intriguing to me because there's a lot of people that's going to be buying tickets to go and watch the Chiefs in Atlanta, but I don't think they're going to be playing in Atlanta next week. They're going to be at Arrowhead because Cincinnati is going to go up there and take care of business. And that's my upset special for the weekend, baby.
Only 4 playoff wins for Mr. January. Josh Allen? Did I see that right? 4-3 in the playoffs. Surely he's been to some Super Bowls and won an MVP. I mean, he's Mr. January. Now what?
Right?
What are we doing here?
He's a champion. He's a legend. It's a team of fate. It's a team of destiny.
Dude, I'm out on Romo. I don't want no Mo or Romo.
He loves all the quarterbacks, man. He loves up Patrick. He loves up Tom Brady. Chris Sims does the same thing. Tony Romo is a quarterback guy. He loves all of these guys. Very rarely is he like extremely critical of the quarterback.
But there's only one Mr. January. There's only one.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Well, I think you have to look at. I like Tony Romo, and I like what he has to say most of the time. But that did catch me off guard because, like I said, he's witty. He's on top of it. He knows his football, and he knows what he sees being a former quarterback. But just to throw out, that's why they call him Mr. January. It caught me way off guard because you can't be Mr. January. I mean, I know I even tweeted that, which I got a bunch of people commenting back saying, well, the Super Bowl's in February, so he can be Mr. January. Ha ha. That's funny too, but come on, Romo, you got to do better than that.
Yeah,
lazy.
I don't know about Romo. I miss Joe Theismann, Dan Deerdorf, Paul McGuire.
Well, you stuck in the 90s, boy. Look at you.
I am stuck in the 90s.
Look, those are some great teams. But Deerdorf, great guy. He was great on Monday Night Football and on CBS. Look, Gus Johnson is the man for me.
Oh, he is the best. I wish he was in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
I'm so bummed he went to college.
Yeah.
I miss him and Kesco, or who was the Saints or the Bill safety he was with?
Solomon Wilcox.
Steve Tasker.
Yeah, Steve
Tasker.
Tasker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know it was. Yeah, it was
Did the
Tasker.
Chiefs-
It was Gus
Did
Johnson.
we get Al Michaels?
We were good.
Are we going to get Al Michaels Saturday morning?
No, we got Tarico and Collinsworth.
Good.
What?
Come on, Michael. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Collinsworth, to me, Collinsworth is the best in the business at his position because I just feel like I learn something every time I watch a Collinsworth game. Like most people, they're stuck with the Chiefs goggles on and they can't take a little criticism. And to me, Collinsworth, he's definitely softened up since inside the NFL era Chris Collinsworth or the Fox era Chris Collinsworth. Come on now. He's softened up because he was a jerk back then. He was.
Wow, I'm just excited for this weekend. I think the divisional round is the best football that you're going to get from these teams, and you get that the classic matchup with the Cowboys Niners is going to be real fun. Can Dak do it again? So many people on Twitter argue with me about my takes on Dak, and they feel that Dak is a top 7 quarterback already blows my mind. But I'm like, he has a chance to show something if he can pick up this win down, in the Bay Area. But it's going to be some really good football. I can't wait. There's going to be at least one upset. So I'm really praying and hoping it's not in Kansas City, but I don't think it will be. And we might get a snow game out there. So it is going to be some great football, baby. I'm ready.
Now that you bring it up,
Michael, you talked about go ahead, Clint.
So sorry. I was just gonna say, guys, you talk about the Jags. I just want to get your guys' level of danger for this because we looked at what happens when you have to tangle with divisional foes. We saw it all this past Super Wildcard weekend. We're going to see it again coming up. The Chiefs avoid that. The Jaguars come in. The Chiefs had a 20-0 lead against Jacksonville back in November when the Chiefs won that game, knocking the Jags to 4-8 on the season. Doug Peterson said, we'll be in the playoffs, and they are. Here they are. What's your danger level for this game on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
It should always be 10. It should always be 10.
I hate that answer.
I know
it means I have to be anxious and okay, that's it.
That's the way
it's the playoff. You're not anxious.
Because we've seen it when the Chiefs played the Broncos. We've seen it when the Chiefs played the Titans when they started a rookie quarterback. There's always that. Okay, the Chiefs are going to come out and stomp them. They're at home. They're going to stomp them. It's prime time, and the other team's kind of hanging around. I don't think it'll be that way. I think, in my opinion, the Chiefs will be up by 3 points with about 10 minutes left in the game, and then they'll put up another 10 points or another 14 points to cover the spread. But if the Chiefs don't go in there with the mentality of this is the end of the season if we don't win, then they could lose. They have to go in there and dominate and know that they're the bigger dog. They're the bigger team. They're the number 1 team in the AFC for a reason. They got to go in there and show their playoff experience and don't underestimate them. And I think that's what we'll get from Andy Reid, especially going up against his best buddy and Doug Peterson. So I think you have to go in there and make it a 10. You can't. You can't ever make it at a comfort level because how do you think the Buffalo Bills felt going up against a 3rd-string quarterback forced into a starting duty? How do you think the Bengals felt going up against Tyler Huntley? Those games on paper should have been blowouts, but they were games. But do I think Buffalo Bills or the Bengals underestimated them? No, but I just think the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens said, we're not going to go away. The Chiefs have to show that they're the big dog consistently on as many downs as they can and take care. What do you think, Michael?
I think that the major difference with this game and those other 2 you mentioned, those were divisional games. So those are teams that saw each other twice. Those are teams that you build, like the Dolphins are built to, hey, we have to beat Buffalo first before we can do anything. The Ravens are like, all right, the Bengals are the defending AFC North champions. We have to beat them first before we do anything. That's why they can play so, much of a close game. But for me, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Is that good, Clint? 7 out of 10?
7 out of 10 is good, because, to me, if you're saying the Jaguars are a 10, what would the Bills coming in this week be? What would the Bengals be? I mean, you got to start somewhere. I don't think it's just a 10 no matter who the opponent is.
So the reason why I say 7 out of 10 and not 10 out of 10 is because the Chiefs, we had 3 turnovers. They had the onside kick against us the first time we saw them. we played a bad game and we still were able to win 27-17. So I think that the Chiefs are going to go in more focused, looking for all of the trick plays, everything that they need to, because they saw them and everything went so bad and they still took advantage of it, that I don't think you're going to see the turnovers. You had a fumble by Pacheco in the red zone. Pat threw a bad interception. Cisco knocked out Juju. It was a lot of things that went bad in that game.
Get that game.
The Chiefs won.
That's right.
So that's why I think that the Chiefs are going to be well prepared, knowing that, hey, we already saw how close this game could be if we make these mistakes. Let's come out here and do our job and be ready for whatever type of tricks that they have going for us and take care of business. So I'd say 7 out of 10.
I'm with
We've
Shaq.
got a couple questions here in the chat. Do you guys know if Lucas Niang is going to play? I don't think he's ever going to play. Frizzell Jenkins will play more than Lucas Niang will have played.
He's been on special teams, and whenever the Chiefs get a big lead, he plays. It's just Wiley is actually doing a solid job.
Can't beat out Wiley. You're gone, man.
Look, man, it is a 10.
It's not a 10. It can't be a 10 because there has to be. We have to set a curve, okay? If the Jacksonville Jaguars
are 12,
yeah,
playoffs.
I'm saying the danger level of the team coming here. What's the danger level?
Okay, so
on a scale of 1 to 10, the danger of this team beating the Chiefs. If it's a 10,
all right,
then
you know what? I was going with what intensity the Chiefs should bring. That's what.
No. Yeah, that's a 10 all day.
All right.
Of course, the Chiefs won't bring a 10.
Say,
true.
Now that I think about it like that, thank you for pointing that out, Clint. I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6.
Good with that.
Because I think the Jaguars are very feisty. I do. They're young, but they're dumb though. And I think Doug Peterson, I was going to say an inappropriate term. I think he put too much on tape. I think he did. The first game, let's look back at it. First play of the game, onside kick.
Mm-hmm.
They get it. They do a 3-and-out, but then Pacheco goes and turns the ball over on the ensuing drive in the red zone. All right. Let's see. You talk about the hits with Andre Cisco. There was one to Juju. There was also another later in the game to MVS.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think with those two things, with what the Chiefs saw on tape, and we already know how Doug Peterson comes lock and loaded. He did the damn Philly special in the damn Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all hands are going to be on deck. All eyes are going to be peeled because they've already shown what they have. And so I think with that being said, Andy Reid and company, like, this is a disciple of Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
He's I don't want to say a carbon copy, but Andy Reid knows his opponent very, very well. And with the young guys on the Jaguars defense, as long as the Chiefs offensive line holds up, I can see the Chiefs taming this 6 that I have from these dangerous Jaguars.
And you've ever seen the movie Multiplicity with Michael Keaton? The copy or the clone is never as good as the original. So we got the original and Andy Reid. We're good.
And the last thing I'll say on this, to reinforce my 10 on 10, I've seen the Chiefs with Andy Reid blow 2 21-3 home playoff games with both Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. So it's always going to be a 10 for me. Go ahead, Noah.
We just got a couple questions here. Should we re-sign Juju? I think yes. It depends on, are we getting DeAndre Hopkins in this building? Hopefully so. What do we see out of Kadarius Toney in the playoffs and Sky Moore? Do we get rid of MVS? There's a lot of questions that I know Shane doesn't want to talk about till March, but I did go through those real quick for you there.
Go ahead. I mean, if you want to answer, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about. I want to be talking about week by week as we get ready for this Super Bowl run, because our guys need to be ready to go. I think they will be. And looking at everybody else that's left in this bracket, the Chiefs truly have a chance to go and get another Super Bowl. So with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you have to make it happen. This is how you become a Tom Brady and you win 7 Super Bowls, is because whenever the opportunity is there, you take it. This is what Mahomes has to do. He has to come and bring his A game. Spags has to have that defense ready to where no matter who shows up, You know, no matter who they bring out there on the field, we should get a 20 out of 10 from the Chiefs because you have home field advantage. And last year you let us down. You didn't take care of business being up 21-3. Now you have to make it happen, especially if you have a chance to face a Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl, these young quarterbacks where you're going to be you should be the favorite. Man, it's that time for Mahomes to really make this run and get these Super Bowls together, baby.
You didn't expect that Daniel Jones versus Mahomes Super Bowl, did you, Mike?
Nah, not at all.
I'll take it as long as we get credit for the win, which I'm not sure many pundits will give us. But got a question here, or really a comment, a shot at me, which is fine. Noah, is your boy Tyreek homesick this week?
Right, facts. Yeah, let's answer
that.
that.
Skylar Thompson out there. I mean, what are you
talking that all year long? Yeah, let's get to it. All year long, you and Clint,
Skylar Thompson,
both of you have been talking about. Oh, Tyree.
I'll still do it.
He had 1,700 yards receiving. 1,700 yards.
Okay, well,
pretty good year.
I tell you what, you, Noah, Tyreek, you go warm up some popcorn in your microwave or on the stove, however you do it.
I'm a picky eater. I don't like popcorn, but
get your Diet Coke with some ice in it and watch the Kansas City Chiefs because you won't be on the field.
Hey, well, I'll say this. Hey, Clint, Noah, when you guys are on Radio Row, are we going to have Arrowhead Allies where you guys are in Arizona?
That's a good question.
We should.
Kind of depends on, if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl or not would be one thing, would be one factor.
Well, if you guys are in Arizona on Radio Row, maybe you could get Tyreek Hill and we all could sit together and talk about it.
I like that idea. We'll make that happen. We'll try to make that happen. The Dolphins were in that game. The Dolphins could have won that game, guys. And Tyreek, by the way, did not play well in that divisional or that super wild card game. Noah, that is true. Noah, I got to get your thoughts on this. We've talked about this, and it's a thing now, and I got to ask you. Travis Kelce, 12 touchdowns through 11 games. Concerned? 0 touchdowns through the final 6, and he's looking a little bit like Keith from the hit TV show Kingdom, available on Peacock right now. If you haven't watched Kingdom, going to need you to do that. One of the best shows you've never seen. Travis Kelce, we don't want him looking like Keith from Kingdom, but for the Chiefs Kingdoms to succeed and to get to a Super Bowl, Travis Kelce is probably going to have to score in this postseason, dog.
Yeah, I mean, like you had there, the first 11 games, 12 touchdowns, then none in the remaining 6. I think that's kind of Mahomes just kind of feeling out the rest of the offense. Everyone's doubling Kelce, but they were all season long, and he still got 12 in the first 11 games. I think he's going to rely on him more in this postseason as his kind of safety blanket. And but they do need to get in a rhythm and get on the same page early in this first game against the Jags and get back to it. So hopefully we see a lot more touchdowns.
We know Kelce gets bored and that he's not dialed into a lot of this. He said it himself. Heck, he was in the Super Bowl against the Bucks and said, "Oh, there wasn't a full crowd. We just didn't even think that was even like a real Super Bowl." And so we just really. Yeah.
There's an easy answer for where his touchdowns went. His name is Jerick McKinnon.
Yep.
9
touchdowns.
I was just going to say that. I would love to see McKinnon's touchdown total during that.
9. The answer is 9.
So that's why a lot of teams were focusing in on Trav to where McKinnon was getting open. And, Patrick Mahomes is Magic Johnson. He's not just going to feed the ball to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's going to give it to James Worthy. He's going to give it to Michael Coop, whoever's open. And it's been McKinnon because everybody's trying to take away Trav. They're trying to take away Juju. So it's going to be somebody else that may step up. This might be the postseason of Kadarius Toney, where he makes a lot of big plays. And with no McCole, he's going to get the jet sweeps and the reverse plays to where we can look back and be like, this was the moment in postseason where Kadarius Toney's star really took off. So that's one of the guys that I'm looking at, because if you don't take away Travis Kelce, if you're Jacksonville, you're done. Like, he's going to dominate you. He's going to have 8 catches, 130 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns. They have to stop him first. If not, it's the biggest mistake that you make. So, I can't wait to see who's going to step up.
Much to my chagrin, there's a lot of McCole Hardman talk here in the comments, and they're going back and forth saying he's done for the year. He's not coming back. Is he going to? Questions. Who said he was done for the year? All I saw is he just wasn't going to practice today. Sore pelvis, stomach region, abdomen, whatever it is. Yes, he could come back. He's just didn't practice today. He could even play in this Jaguars game if he gets better. He just felt like he had a little bit of a setback, and so they're not going to push it. They're going to take their foot off the pedal with McCall in practice this week and maybe see how he does next week. So he's not definitely done for the postseason. We'll see how he does. But like I said, much to my chagrin, having to talk about that again.
Shane, did you have something on Kelsey there?
Yeah, I have something I want to say on Travis Kelsey, but could you guys say happy birthday to Tony James, one of my followers? Just happy birthday, Tony.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Tony
Happy
James,
birthday.
Tony, happy birthday, my friend.
to
Enjoy
you.
your Arrowhead
Happy
Allies.
birthday to
Dude,
you.
if the Chiefs are coming up a loss, we're not saying happy birthday to nobody. I'll tell you
No
that.
one.
We're in a good spot for that, Tony.
My concern with Kelsey, the only concern I have was when he comes to the sidelines and plays where he's not in, where they put in Noah Gray or Blake Bell, he comes off the field looking like I come out of the factory after working 12 hours. He looks tired. He looks like, man, I'm going to go to – he walks to the sideline like I walk to my car after working 12-hour shift. He looks tired. That's the only concern I have. I'm like, man, I hope Kelsey's okay. But then he'll come back in and make a touchdown. Is it just me? Have you noticed that, Brian? Is on the optics of Kelsey when he's coming off the field? Have you noticed that?
I haven't really been paying attention to that like how you have, Shane. I think I've just been seeing that McKinnon has been filling the spot as far as the void with touchdowns. Michael hit it on the head. And that's the story of Patrick Mahomes this year. And that's why he's the MVP, is because everybody is eating. He's distributing the ball. You take away player A. All right, well, player D is going to eat. You take away him. Okay, well, player C is going to eat. And I think that the lack of touchdowns with Kelsey coming down towards the end of the season, perhaps he is. I mean, he's 33, man, and he's had another exceptional season. This might have been one of his best ones. This is like top 2 or 3 seasons for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had a 4 touchdown performance against the Raiders this year. And so I think that is just a product of this offense this year. Him not having touchdowns, but somebody else filling that void.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've got several things here. We got Jags burning Mahomes jerseys. Jags fans.
Oh, that's
burning.
cute.
Let's go Jags, ready for Mahomes to go up in flames. I think Mahomes
much
is going
was
to go
that?
scorched earth on him. How about them flames?
I have a question for the Jacksonville fans. Why would you poke the polar bear? You know, it's the end of hibernation, and the polar bear is about to wake up. So you're just going to go poke him and give him something else to, you know, he has that Jordan-like, mind where the Bears, they didn't draft him, so he counted out. This is, this is how many people passed me up. Now he probably saw this and said, oh, this is what y'all want to do with my last name on the back of that jersey. And he's going to probably do something to let them know, like, I noticed that. So I don't get why you would do that. Like, he's like Jordan and Kobe. When you play against him, you don't say nothing. You don't want to rile them up. You just you give them a pat on the back and tell them they're great and all this, because any little thing to add to their flame, you will be burnt. So once it happens, I don't know. Jacksonville, you blame the fans, Trevor Lawrence, if you guys lose 48-10.
Is this even real? I've never met a Jaguars fan in real life ever. Is this even real?
Oh, I have.
Right.
I've never had the pleasure.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah,
Mark Brunell and Fred Taylor Day.
Lil Duval,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lil Duval.
Got the Minister of Defense here. I don't know. The new Minister of Defense was Reggie White. It still is Reggie White. But Frank Clark needs just one more sack to tie Reggie White, 12 for the 4th most in NFL postseason history. Just one more sack for the Shark.
And the Chiefs did get 5 sacks against the Jaguars back there in November. So,
well, does he have a groin? He was limited today in snaps, right?
yep.
Yeah, limited in practice. The only person that didn't practice is, again, McCall Hardman, for you, those of you in the comments still talking about the man, the myth, the legend that is number 17.
Wow. I almost wonder if I'm not looking past Jacksonville. As you know, I put it the 10 and 10 as danger zone, but I almost think about holding Frank Clark back and to play against Cincinnati or Buffalo, because if there's any question with his groin, what do you think, Michael?
If he's not fully ready, yeah.
I think that you should be able to. I know he had a safety. I think he ended up with a sack and a half that game versus Jacksonville. So he would be missed. But I think that they should be able to take care of business with Karlaftis, who finished the season so well. Carlos Dunlap, there. Chris Jones moving all over the defensive line. I think they should still be able to take care of business. But I think it's just kind of a vet thing. They're like, hey, we're not going to have you rush it. Just be ready for game time so that you can give us some snaps and go and get after, Trevor Lawrence. But I think Shark is going to be okay.
Yeah, give Mike Dana more playing time.
Yeah.
Because man's been looking good.
Right.
Like he had two sacks last game. Towards the end of the season when he's came back, he's really made an impact. The Chiefs defensive line has really balled out and locked in the past 6-7 weeks, I want to say. So, and that's the key to these playoff games, man. You got to put pressure on these quarterbacks. That's how the Cowboys spanked the Buccaneers yesterday. Is because they applied pressure. It changes things. It changes how a quarterback throws the ball. It changes the play calls. It changes the strategy for the offense in terms of the balance. You saw the Buccaneers threw the ball 60 plus times yesterday. Are we serious? That's because the Cowboys got in their ass early and they had no choice but to pass the ball because they're already a terrible running team. And then when you're down 2 or 3 scores, Cowboys didn't do nothing but pin their ears back and play coverage the rest of the night.
Well, Tom Brady's putting the ball in the dirt. He's feeling the rush. He's not wanting to take a hit. He can't do what these other quarterbacks can do, escape the pocket and make something happen. I think that's going to be a detriment to whomever has Tom Brady next year, which I think you'll smoothly transition to that.
Tom Brady needs to let it go.
Oh, okay. We can go to our another thing that Shane's going to love here and really want to hold off till March, but I have a graphic, so we have to go to it. Those are the rules, Shane. The quarterbacks that I think their landing spots next year, 2023, since everybody's kind of wondering where Tom Brady's going to land. You don't see him on this graphic because I think he stays with the Bucs. I think Sean Payton and Vic Fangio go to Tampa Bay. Sean Payton gets to take on the Saints twice a year, but I've got Bryce Young going to the Texans, CJ Stroud from Ohio State going to the Colts, Lamar Jackson in the ATL.
Yeah.
And the Raiders do get a former Patriots quarterback, but it's Jimmy Garoppolo going to Josh McDaniels and the Raiders. Will Levis to the Panthers. The Jets miss out. They still are talking about, hey, we kind of like Zach Wilson. We're going to see how this thing goes. I think they miss out on a real quarterback and have to go with Gardner Minshew. And we got Zach Wilson. They're going to kind of have a quarterback battle here. Hendon Hooker from Tennessee goes to the Commanders. The Ravens fill their spot with Florida Gators quarterback Anthony Richardson, kind of a dual threat like a Lamar Jackson. And then Derek Carr reunites with Dennis Allen, the coach that was with the Raiders when he was drafted to the Raiders, and he goes to New Orleans.
Ooh.
That might be a nice pickup.
That's in depth.
That is quite.
I can see Derek Carr going to the Jets.
I wrestled with that back and forth, but I didn't know if he wanted to handle that media. He cries a lot.
It's Colts, man. Colts all the way.
I really think. Oh, I can see Colts too, but I really. People are saying Brady to Vegas. I don't know, man. I could just see him in Frisco. I can see them moving on from Trey Lance, trading him to somebody, maybe, Washington or, Atlanta or I don't know. But then,
got 2 young quarterbacks they like. I don't see him going to the young,
you got
the old guy for a couple years.
What is Brock Purdy doing? Okay, he's facilitating the offense. We talking about Mr. Irrelevant as opposed to Tom Brady.
Brian, he brings you something that Tom Brady can't do.
He can move, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. He can move, but man, I don't know, dog. I just feel it. I could be wrong. I could, but I feel Tom Brady.
I don't think the Shanahans want to give all the credit to Tom Brady either. They're genius offensive minds. They want the credit if they win the Super Bowl.
I think kind of like LaFleur in Green Bay, where he wouldn't mind if Aaron Rodgers leave because he's like, I want to be in full control and have my guy play the way I want him to play. I think Shanahan likes that with San Francisco.
They have to switch up their offense to make it a Tom Brady offense. Yeah.
That's why he was so big on Trey Lance, because he's like, okay, I got this guy that I can mold him the way I want him to be. He's going to listen to me. His ego will never outgrow me because I'm the guy that helped create that. That's why I think we're so blessed as Chief fans is that Mahomes didn't come in as his first overall pick. I'm already the guy. He came under the tutelage of Andy Reid, and he could never say I'm bigger than Andy Reid. I want to do what I want to do because it's like Andy Reid helped you get there. where like LaFleur with Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, like I already won MVPs in the Super Bowl before you. What can you really tell me? If Brady go to San Francisco, like, are you serious, Shanahan? Like my 7 rings versus your 28-3? Like, come on, man. So I think Shanahan wants to stay far away from Tom Brady, especially since he's going to be like, what, 70 years old next year? Nah.
That's
now that I think about it a little deeper, if you add in like I didn't think about the figure, like the salary cap and all of that. Like Brock Purdy, you got him on a rookie contract and on a very, very, very inexpensive rookie contract. Now that I think about that a little more, I think you might be convincing me otherwise.
Hey, Clint, what were you going to say, Clint?
Well, Michael, earlier you were talking about the Bengals being your upset pick over the Bills this weekend on Sunday. And I am looking at that game, and I just have a lot of anxiety. I don't know who to root for. I don't know what I'm wanting out of this game. And I made a little list of my anxieties so you can share it with me, because I'm going back and forth. Do I root for the Bengals? If I do, there's a pro that we could possibly get that monkey off our back. Okay, we've lost to him 3 straight times. We'd finally get that off our back. Joe Burrow and the Bengals fans wouldn't have that over us. And then if the Bengals win another pro, is that the AFC Championship game would be at Arrowhead at home. The con is one is if we do lose, it would be a nightmare of epic proportions, which I may never recover from. Losing 4 in a row again in the AFC Championship game to Joe Burrow, just anoint him. He's Mr. January and Mr. February. He's everything. Tony Romo, just go at it. And another con, the last one is I don't think we would win. So that might be the biggest con of all. And then if there's a Buffalo, the pro is I think we would win the game. So that's a heavy pro on that side. The cons are the AFC Championship games in Atlanta. Everyone's saying this one's for DeMar and he could possibly be at the game. How do you beat that? Him at the game? I don't know how you come out with that. And of course, Romo saying it's a team of destiny, a team of fate. Mr. January, we got Joe Burrow. He's a champion. He's a ledger. Josh Allen, he's a champion. He's a legend. Who do I root for? Who are you guys rooting for? Help me with my anxiety.
It's like you won Bengals with 2 pros and you only got 1 pro for Buffalo.
But losing to the Bengals.
It's a strong pro. I think we'd win the game and go to the Super Bowl. So you see my dilemma.
And you got to focus on the Jaguars and let the chips fall where they may with Cincinnati and Buffalo. Because we have Yeah, we have no control over that game. And I mean, personally, why not Cincinnati again? Let's take another crack at it.
That's where I'm at. I'm like 50.1% to the Bengals.
Let's go back to that game quick, fast. The Chiefs were up 7 when Kelsey caught that ball in front. And we were on our way to score again. The Bengals could not stop the Chiefs. They couldn't at that point. The Chiefs were rolling. And so the things turned around at Cincinnati. I think the Chiefs learned their lesson last year in that AFC Championship game. Because I do think there was a slight, it's the Bengals. Ha, 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 ha. We're going to roll. And I think it was slight prestige. And so give me Cincinnati.
Plus, I've noticed that every other team in the NFL actually gets to Joe Burrow and hits him and puts him on the ground. I've seen the Bengals, since they beat the Chiefs, they haven't lost, but they've had some real strange moments. You think about the second half against the New England Patriots. Look at this, the kind of 2 real muddy games against the Baltimore Ravens here. Like, it seems to me like no one else but the Chiefs has sort of this mindset. I mean, the Browns beat the Bengals earlier this season. The Bengals finally beat them in the rematch, beating the Browns for the first time in Joe Burrow's career. So
the whole left side of their line, the left tackle and the left guard is out this week. They're both and it wouldn't even be a Mahomes game. It would be a Chris Jones game. If Chris Jones sacks Burrow that one
Chiefs
time,
can't sack him. They never do.
Exactly. I think that's why I think it will be a Chris Jones game, because I think he has something to prove, because he knows that I'm not single-handedly blaming Chris Jones, but if he makes that sack on that 3rd and long and Burrow doesn't slither out of that play, I can't pinpoint the time. I know it was later in the game in the 4th quarter against the Bengals when the Chiefs really needed a stop.
11 minutes.
And I think Chris Jones will be chomping at the bit for the Bengals.
And I just think that the Chiefs' hunger to beat the Bengals. You got Joe Mixon saying that they're the big dogs of the AFC, and Chris Jones in that front 4, he's going to be reminding them, hey, we should have beat these guys. We kept letting him get away. We need to come and dominate. It's on us to win this game. To where I think the Chiefs will be so amped up at Arrowhead once again. They can't beat us 4 straight, right? Like, can they?
I'm with you all. I'm with everyone that I want the Bengals unless we lose. Then I will rue the day that I wanted the Bengals a 4th time, and my mental health will be in serious decline.
But Buffalo is going to be tough too, because it's no matter who the Chiefs face, you're going to have to face a quarterback that's hard to take down. With Buffalo, there's no Von Miller. So you have to see, their defense has their moments where they don't look as great than their moments that they do shine. But you always prefer to have that home cooking where you can wake up in your bed and go over to the arena, because Atlanta's a bunch of distractions. So that's the only reason why I'm nervous about that matchup, because those guys are going to be in Atlanta. We don't know what Travis Kelce is going to do the night before. So, yeah.
Hanging with Future in there, man. Magic City. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, since I predicted going back to the spring, I was on the Pat Mahomes, Big Mahomes show, Pat Mahomes Sr. He said, who's your prediction for the AFC Championship game? I said, Chiefs at Buffalo at Rich Stadium. Well, obviously, since that can't happen, I've got to stick with my prediction of Chiefs at Buffalo in Bad Street, Atlanta, GA.
Dude, fabulous Freebirds, dog.
Yes. So,
Michael P.S. Hayes, Jimmy Jam Garvin.
Terry Bam Bam Gordy.
Yeah, that was the old Dallas days. Yes.
So I'm going to go with that. I'm still going to stay with the Chiefs and the Bills. What do you think, Noah?
I mean, I think the Bills are going to win, but like everybody said, I really want the Bengals. That even knowing that my mental health could suffer if we do lose that game, I want the chance to get that monkey off my back so bad that I'm willing to take the chance on that and shut everybody up, the media up, about this Joe Burrow thing, or trying to anoint or saying somebody's better than Mahomes when they don't have the MVPs, they don't have the Super Bowls, but they want so desperately for someone to come and take that mantle from Mahomes. And I want them to just shove it down their throats. No, we finally get over the Bengals hump. You can't talk about that anymore. We're back in the Super Bowl, and you're just going to have to learn to love it.
Hey, bring the cigars too if we get that matchup. Chiefs take care of it. You got to smoke the cigars in the locker room just to, a little payback.
But Michael, you cannot be in the air during this one. If this is how it goes down, you cannot be flying. You cannot be in the air.
No way. No, there's no way that's going to happen. I have to watch. I can't believe that. Like getting on that flight, like 21-3, we about to take care of business and getting off, and we're going into overtime. I was shook.
I would never have. I don't know. I can't even imagine what would have happened to me at that point. But
I have some words.
You have to get on the plane. I'm like, I'm not getting on that plane. You can't make me.
Did I ever tell you all my AFC Championship game story?
You were there, right?
Hold on. I want to hear that. I want to hear both stories. Brian, I want to hear yours, but I want to go back to Mikhail. What was going on? The Chiefs were up 21-3, and you got on a plane?
Yeah. So I was in Dallas, meeting with a company out there, a media network. So I'm watching the game, at the airport, and the Chiefs are whooping ass. And I'm like, we're about to go back to the Super Bowl. I'm sending off all my texts like, hey, we're about to go back to the Super Bowl and bring this title home. They're going to be playing in LA. It's going to be crazy. And I got on the plane. You have no service. So my service was really bad. Once I got off in LAX, I looked at it and it was like overtime. I'm like, what? Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Wow. Go ahead, Brian.
And Brian, you were there, correct?
Yeah, I was there. And, my wife is from Cincinnati. So I actually bet a guy in front of me, spotted him 9 points. All right. Undisclosed amount of whatever.
Jelly beans.
Yeah. So 200 jelly beans, right? I bet him that. Spotted him 9 points too. And Chiefs are up 21-3. And I'm basking in the ambience of the glow of Arrowhead. All of a sudden, that damn 4th down play at halftime. And I swear to you, I'm telling you, I'm not lying when I say this, and anybody who was there can witness this. It was a ghost town after Tyreek Hill didn't get that. It's like
was this a Bengals fan you were betting or what?
Yeah, he was a Bengals fan. I was surrounded by Bengals.
I was like, surely another Chiefs fan didn't bet you that we would lose.
No. And so, man, Samaje Perine gets that touchdown. And it's Patrick couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything, you
Well,
know. And so it was a rough. It was
Mm.
the roughest part of that was climbing up the steps to walk out of the stadium. And these Bengals fans, they are, and there's nothing you can say about it because they're celebrating, you know, they're doing this, they're doing that, and you know, they on their phones, you know, you got the Bengals in the middle. I have to sit here through this, by the way. The Bengals in the middle of the field doing, you know, taking the Lamar Hunt trophy, and because my wife, she needs to witness this. This is her team that she loved growing up. And so I have to sit here and go through all of this and witness them getting our owner's trophy on our field while these Bengals fans sit here and celebrate. And that was it was tough, bro. Though that walk to the car, tough. Man. Nothing you can do about it, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, last thing I want to say about this game. Thank you both, Michael and Brian, for breaking down your heartbreak and frustration.
Thank you.
I have, like I said before, I think we've talked about this before. After the Chiefs lose a playoff game, do you go back and watch it? I have never gone back and watched the AFC Championship game again, but I went back and watched Kurt Warner's breakdown of the All 22, and I'm going to segue into this when we do our prediction for the Jacksonville, but I want to bring it up now. Kurt Warner, when you look at the All 22, if you guys could look it up on YouTube, of the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes never found a comfort zone, even on the touchdown passes that he threw in the first half.
Around with Kelsey.
Yeah, he had Byron Pringle open coming across the middle, but Patrick Mahomes rolled all the way out of his right, made a hell of a play, threw it to a Tyreek Hill in the corner of the end zone and made a great catch. Yep. But he was showing tendencies right there. In the time where he did the 360, ran out of the pocket and threw a touchdown pass to Kelsey, that wasn't right. And on the touchdown pass that he threw to McCole Hardman that put up 21-3, he said, I mean, the way Kurt Warner breaks it down is, you know, it's a Hall of Famer, it's a pro. He was showing these tendencies that were just off. And then when it was come time in the second half, Patrick Mahomes was still trying to do that, and it didn't work. So I hope that Patrick Mahomes and I believe he will, because he is the man, took a good hard look of where he fell short and why in the AFC Championship game last year, going into not only Jacksonville, but the next week in Atlanta or at home against the Bengals. So that is paramount. I mean, if I tell not only you, my Arrowhead allies, to watch the Kurt Warner's All 22, I tell all Chiefs diehards to look at that because it was important. You could see, even though Patrick Mahomes was having this great success, he wasn't comfortable in the pocket for all 5 quarters of that football game. And that's something that I hope he's learned from that game. What do you think, Clint?
Yeah, well, I think that even though in a loss, the rematch here this year, the third game, I'd like to call it a rubber match, but we haven't won one yet, so I don't know what you call the third meeting. I do think that he's grown and matured. We saw it last year. We did see Mahomes struggle with the 2 high safeties, the look that team after team kept giving Patrick Mahomes. He struggled to sort of learn that role. And I think that as the year went on, the Chiefs reeled off 9 straight wins. And I think that he kind of got there, but we've talked about the discombobulation of maybe some miscommunication with Eric Bieniemy. It's been talked about. We've gone through that. There was something not right about it. It's clear. And I think that was a good observation about the All 22. So, but I think that the tone and the tenor would change coming in here. Like Michael said, the level of hunger for that game, for knowing that like you just cannot lose a 4th game at home in the AFC Championship. You just can't do it. It's going to be interesting, guys. Like Noah said, we're going to have to wait. We have to see how this plays out because we have a game in front of us. So I do want to segue to our predictions for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll tell you what, we saw Trevor Lawrence overcome throwing 4 first half interceptions, which is just unfathomable. But I'll tell you what, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'll kiss your boots if you can do it. But to be the man, you got to beat the man, and you're going to have to walk that aisle to Arrowhead Stadium in front of 76,000. And that's our energy, brother. That's our power, and that's our strength. And the Chiefs win the game 27-17. Same score as last time. Let's just go with that.
Okay. If you guys remember, I hate to bring this up, but if we remember the year, the Colts came back against us.
Yes,
with Andrew Luck.
No, I forgot about that.
And then they end up facing off against the Patriots, and the Patriots smacked them.
Whole lot of LeGarrette Blount up the middle.
Yeah, so I think that it's going to be the same situation. They had this great comeback, this feel-good thing. They're going to come to the Chiefs, who are going to be ready to go, ready to roll, and the Chiefs are going to take care of business. I have it 34-20. I think the Chiefs are going to be in control from the jump. We won't see too much of a scare, maybe a little scare early, but then second quarter on, the Chiefs just dominate 34-20 Kansas City, baby.
Great, Mikkel. I'm going to echo that sentiment that you just said. I'm going to go back to my wife. You know, I told you my wife was a diehard Buccaneer fan. She moved from Tampa Bay when she was 12. The year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to the Super Bowl, they had the San Francisco 49ers come to town, and they were losing 36-14 to the New York Giants against Kerry Collins, against Jim Fossil. And the 49ers had this massive comeback, and they had a lot of momentum, and they ended up winning a miraculous game. You guys all remember that game?
Yeah.
Pass interference.
Yes.
The offensive pass interference. Yeah.
Yes.
On the field goal.
When the 49ers won that game, me and my wife were like, wow, honey, the 49ers are coming down to Tampa with a lot of momentum, and the Buccaneers just put them in their space, said you're not on our level, and the Buccaneers, I think, won like 30-7. I think this game, it'll be with 10 minutes left. The Chiefs will be up 20-17, but they will score 2 late touchdowns and win 34-17. I'm sticking to it. Your Chiefs will be in Atlanta, Georgia against the Buffalo Bills the following week. What do you say, Brother Brian?
Man, so Clint dug in his Ric Flair bag. I'm going to go ahead and dig in my 1997 heel Shawn Michaels bag.
Oh, I can't wait.
And let you know what's about to happen to these Jacksonville Jaguars. Because who has 7 straight AFC West championships?
We do.
We. All right. Who has a Super Bowl victory? We do. Who is the 2022 MVP? Well, who has it? We do. Okay. The Jaguars are nothing but support on Patrick Mahomes' pay-per-views. All right.
Oh,
the click runs this business. The click being
that's my favorite Arrowhead Allies moment. That's my favorite moment of the year, right there.
That was in Kansas City, by the way. That promo was in Kansas City.
I was at that Monday Night Raw. Yeah, Monday Night Raw.
Man.
That was just a few weeks before the Montreal screw job,
yes,
of which there's no Carl Sheffers at Arrowhead Stadium this weekend, meaning there is no screw job on the horizon for the Chiefs. Noah can you hit us with one more wrestling reference to get this Chiefs to the AFC Championship game?
Well, hold on. 23. I need a score. 23-31 Chiefs win. I can see
31-20. Okay.
I can see Chris Jones making a big stop as the Jaguars are trying to drive around the 32-yard line of their own. Chris Jones makes a big 4th and 15 play. They turn the ball over. Patrick Mahomes gets in victory formation.
I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, Mahomes is striving for number 2 here, as you see Joe Burrow, Josh Allen in his way. But before that, it's Trevor Lawrence in his way. And this man just came back after throwing 4 picks. They had 5 turnovers. They were down 27-0, and they come all the way back. They are riding high. But this is where they fall off, my friend, because I've got the Chiefs 31-20 in this, up 11. And I just think they take it home. I don't think there's any miracle here. I think, like I said before, we've got the original. The carbon copy is Doug Peterson, and the original is always better. Always stick with the original. And so I've got Andy Reid coming out on top against his protege, Doug Peterson. And so I have got this thing 31-20. Chiefs take it home.
Yeah.
Just don't turn the ball over. Chiefs will be fine. Just don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball over. And I don't think they will, because they turned the ball over a few times the first matchup. So I think
3. The Jaguars were +3, and the Chiefs led 20-0.
Yeah.
And they had the onside kick to start the game.
Yes.
Two X factors, I will say, the rest of the way. On offense, it's going to be Andy Reid willingness to stick to the run game if it's working, which I think it will be with Pacheco. I think he's the X factor in this whole playoffs. And then I expect the front 4 to do what they do. Is going to be those safeties. If the safeties can finish the season how they did and carry that over to the playoffs, I think the Chiefs are going to be a tough team to deal with the rest of the way.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those Jags receivers. Etienne out of the backfield, Evan Ingram at tight end / wide receiver. He's kind
Zay
of turning
Jones,
into
Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk.
Yep.
Yep.
A good one.
Evan Ingram's turning into a poor man's Travis Kelce
I'm
out
happy
here.
we played them before because it won't be anything new. We've seen them
Right.
before, so we know what to expect. So I'm happy that it's not a matchup that we haven't seen.
Well, guys, it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, and we're not sure of the snow. I know it says there's a 40% chance of snow. The game's at 3:30. We're not sure what kind of snowstorm it'll be, or storm, or flurries, or anything. So, and that could change. So we don't know if it's going to be a snow game, but it's going to be considerably colder. I think it was 60 degrees when we played them here, but I don't think weather will be a factor. That's just my opinion. We'll see what the meteorologists say at the end of the week. What do you think, Clint?
Let's welcome Andre Cisco and the Jacksonville Jaguars to Arrowhead Stadium once again in style, because it is the greatest stadium in the National Football League. Kevin Harlan was right back in 1993 when he was still the voice of the Chiefs. Still my favorite voice of the Chiefs, by the way. Sorry, Mitch Holtis. Guys, this weekend, dial it up. It's playoff time. The divisional round here. The playoffs are, hey, they hit different for the Arrowhead Allies too, guys. Thanks so much for joining us every week. This has been a great one. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the interaction. Let's get it, guys. This weekend.
Cheers.
Go Chiefs.